Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Thomas Cathy. We are here to discuss what is next for the WBO Super Lightweight World Champion Teofimo Lopez after his victory against Steve Claggett last night. Thomas, Teofimo Lopez got the win. I think it was fairly unlikely that he wasn't going to get the win. Um, we're not going to kind of talk about the fight too much because we want Teofimo Lopez is a special fighter when he wants to be, and I just kind of want to get your opinion on what could be next and how he gets on in those fights really. He's been world champion for a little while now, so we want to see if we can possibly get him in those big unification fights. Um, I'm going to start off with maybe the obvious name, maybe not, Devin Haney. It would be Lopez has only got the one loss on his record. Devin Haney is undefeated. We do have to go back to saying that now. Two of the biggest names in the division, obviously both two Americans. How much do you want to see that fight next?
Well, I think that would definitely that would be a fun build up at the very least. And it's a big fight between two big name fighters. So yeah, I would love to see that. Um I It will be interesting to see, how much Devin Haney has left after, I mean, he took a real thrashing from Ryan Garcia, whether, Ryan cheated or not. I mean, he took a lot of punishment in that fight, Devin. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of version of Devin shows up against um, Teofimo.
Mm,
But yeah, that's kind of a pick 'em fight for me.
yeah, yeah.
It'd be hard for me to make a pick right now, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, I don't blame you for not giving me a prediction. I'm not going to peer pressure you. I'm not going to force you to because it is a tricky one. What does Devin Haney look like in his next fight? And what version of Teofimo Lopez do we get? I've got a feeling that's going to be a kind of a running theme in this video because you don't really know. Do you think we'll see it, Thomas? We've had mixed messages about what Haney's going to do next. He's talked about possibly taking some time out the sport. There was that fight against Sandor Martin that there have been purse bids for. And talk about Ryan Garcia rematch, which would obviously be in a year's time. Do you think we can see this fight next, or do you not see that happening?
I think it's I think it's probably unlikely, especially for Devin. I think it's probably within his best interest to not jump in a fight um, with a guy like Teofimo like right away. Uh, at least another like interim fight or two, I'd say, before he matches up with Teo.
Yeah.
But it, I would say that, don't put him in with a puncher,
Mm.
uh, you know, right after he just fought one and took a beating. But yeah, I'm wondering, at 140, like how much of that power from Teofimo carried up,
Yeah.
you know.
It's interesting that you say that, and I think there are big question marks over whether Teofimo Lopez is kind of a top three fighter at 140, I'm going to say. And I just think, yeah, it does feel like that kind of punching power is not quite there at 140 compared to 135, but we could be wrong. We'll move on, Thomas, to another undefeated fighter, IBF world champion. Became world champion only a couple of weeks ago in a stunning upset, if we're being honest. Australia's Liam Paro. As I mentioned, undefeated 25 and 0. Similar age to Teofimo Lopez, decent puncher as well. Is that a fight? Is that a fight you can see happening? Is Liam Paro like a big enough, kind of a big enough name now? Is for Teofimo Lopez? Is this one fight you can see happening?
Um, yeah, I think it would be a solid matchup, and you perhaps I don't think it would be impossible, but yeah, probably not the most juiciest, most exciting matchup for Teofimo. And that would probably have an effect on his performance, judging by, what we've seen from him so far. So yeah, I'm not sure if that fight happens next. I mean,
No.
Paro's is he with he's on the DAZN
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you got Teofimo on the top rank side, so
yeah. You don't look too convinced if I'm honest, Tom.
right,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. I think feel like you're being very polite. So yeah, we'll write that one off as well. We'll move we'll move on. Isaac Cruz. We're not going to touch on him. He has a fight August the 3rd, so we're not going to assume he's going to win, but maybe if he does, maybe that's a fight Teofimo Lopez could take next. There's not It feels like the super lightweight division is a stacked division, Thomas, but after our discussion, it doesn't sound like, according to us, he could face a champion next. Jack Catterall and Regis Prograis face each other in August. Could you wait around for the winner of that? I think that's a possibility. Arnold Barboza Jr. is another fighter who's coming off a controversial victory. Jose Ramirez is still there. Richardson, Hitchens. There's like kind of lots of big names. Teofimo Lopez has faced Steve Claggett in a fight that he was always very likely to win. So I think there will be demand not necessarily for a unification fight, but for a bigger fight. What name springs to mind to you? If I say to you, who are we going to see Teofimo Lopez fight next? Is there anyone that does realistically really spring to mind to you, Thomas?
Oh boy. Um, Man, realistically, I don't know. I just don't really know. And I'm just trying to keep politics in mind here, boxing politics in mind. I just don't really know if there's anybody who could like bring the kind of marquee value on like the top rank ESPN side that TO can match up with. I think you would have to cross the pond and work with, you know, DAZN or in Matchroom. And I don't know how likely that is, but um, I, I think him versus the winner of Catterall and Prograis, and I forgot that they were fighting for a minute. I think that would be, you know, those are two pretty pretty decent names right there, So if he gets in with one of those guys and beats them, that could be another, feather in his cap at junior welterweight.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good. I think that's a good option. That would be a decent sized fight. That would um that would
Perhaps if Catterall
yeah.
wins,
Yeah.
perhaps, over in the UK.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just a case of timing. It's a case of Jack Catterall had a fight in May, he's got another fight in August. He possibly won't fight again until February, March time. Is Lopez willing to wait? And I think he might be, to be honest. I'm not sure, but the mystery continues. I feel like it's not asking what's next for Teofimo Lopez is not an easy question. I've got one more for you, Thomas, before we stop. There was kind of Teofimo Lopez was kind of dismissed. Potential fight against Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis is obviously the weight above at welterweight. Um, do you see Teofimo Lopez moving up anytime soon? This last night was his fifth fight at super lightweight. They've only been there for a couple of years. Um, yeah, I'll kind of straight and simple. What do you think do you think we'll see him move up to welterweight soon?
Um, whether or not he will, perhaps, but I don't think it would be a very good idea, me personally. I would like to see him stick around at 140, and really 147 right now. I mean, it's always historically it's been a hot division, and yeah, ever since Spence and Crawford, um, and Crawford got all of his belt stripped from him. It's just been kind of getting its legs back under it, and I just don't really know if there's any 40 than 147, I think. And like I mentioned, if he moves up again, is his power gonna, carry up with them? It's another 7 pounds. So
Yeah.
I whether or not he moves up to 147, I can't say that he wouldn't, especially these days. It always seems like fighters are jumping weight classes, not sticking around long, but I like him at 140 and I would like to see him stay at 140.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I want to. I would love to see him in a massive fight next. Doesn't have to be a unification fight, just against a genuine top 10 guy in the division. A Richardson, Hitchens, Jose Ramirez, winner of Jack Catterall, Regis Prograis. I would be absolutely fine with. But I feel like it's not, as I said, it's not an easy question to ask. I don't think many people would have predicted Lopez would have fought Steve Claggett. But yeah, what happened last night happened, and we move on. But I'll be honest with you, Thomas, it's a bit frustrating because I've not come out of this with any inkling or confidence on what Lopez is going to do next. But we'll wait and see. Thomas, as always, thank you for your time. Lots more fights coming up, so I'm sure I'll speak to you again very soon. But yeah, thank you very much for your time as always.
Likewise, thank you.